My journey with learning English. A step toward a new world. Have you ever thought that learning English could completely change your life? Imagine having a key that can open doors you never even knew existed. This is not an exaggeration. Learning English can be a huge step toward achieving your dreams. Maybe you feel right now that it's difficult or that the language is too complex. But let me share a secret with you. I started from scratch, just like you. I didn't know a single word, and pronunciation seemed so far out of reach. But little by little, I discovered that learning the language isn't just about memorizing words. It's an exciting journey full of discoveries. Learning English doesn't just mean being able to talk to others. It's a gateway to understanding new cultures, broadening your horizons, and even unlocking career and networking opportunities you never imagined. Just picture how amazing it would be to communicate with people from all over the world or to read your favorite book in its original language. Did you know these opportunities are within your grasp with every new word you learn? If you're wondering, can I really do this? The answer is yes. Every small step you take toward learning English brings you closer to a world full of possibilities. It's not as hard as you think. It's the start of a real transformation in your life. Are you ready? Let's start this journey together and make it more exciting than ever. All right, if you're starting to learn English now, do you know what the first step should be? You might think, should I learn words? Or sentences? But the answer is very simple. You always start from zero, from the basics. Imagine that these basics are like building a house. If you don't lay the first brick, nothing will stand firm. If you're feeling, like I did at the beginning, that English is difficult or you don't know where to start, don't worry. Let me share how I started. When I decided to learn English, I didn't know a single word. Yes, it's true. I didn't even know how to say hello. Every word felt like a key to a strange city. So, I decided to start from zero. I sat down with a small book about the alphabet and told myself, let's begin with the basics. I think learning English for the first time is like learning to play a musical instrument. You need to understand the instruments and sounds before you can play a melody. For English, the first step is learning the alphabet. I opened the book and said, all right, let's start with the letters, A, B, C. The letters felt like magical elements in a fairy tale. They were like the secret code of superheroes. I pronounced them out loud, A, B, C, and imagined I was part of an adventure movie. But the real challenge was pronunciation. For example, the letter R felt like a mysterious force I couldn't master. I pronounced it like R instead of AR, and laughed at myself every time. Did I stop? Of course not. I kept repeating it over and over, laughing at my attempts, and saying, next time, I'll get it right. Then, I learned my first word, apple. I thought, this is easy. I think I can say it correctly. But when I tried, the words came out strange. I said, apple? Then corrected myself, saying, a bull, as if I was asking for something in a market. But did I give up? Of course not. I laughed at myself and said, next time, I'll say it right. I started learning that repetition is the key. Every time I made a mistake, I laughed and told myself, next time, I'll do better. And the more I repeated, the closer I got to success. It wasn't easy, but I learned something important. Repetition and persistence are the foundations of success. The more I repeated words, the easier the pronunciation became. When I learned the word book, I used to say book or book, but over time, it started to feel natural. Then came the biggest challenge, sentences. I learned how to say I like, but when I tried to say a full sentence like I like apples, the words came out like I like apple. It felt like I was learning a language from another planet. But did I let that stop me? Absolutely not. Every new sentence was a huge achievement for me. The beginning was tough, full of laughter and mistakes, but I learned that mistakes are part of the journey. Every mistake taught me something new. Every time I laughed at myself, I knew I was on the right path. The lesson I learned. Start with the basics, and don't be afraid of mistakes. Repetition and persistence are the right way forward. If you make a mistake, don't worry, just laugh and learn from it because it will bring you closer to your goal. Every small step takes you closer to your big goal, speaking English confidently. Breaking the fear barrier. Learning the alphabet and a few words was just the beginning. But the real challenge came when I tried to use what I had learned in a real conversation. You can't imagine how terrifying that moment was for me. I would hear my friends speaking English fluently, and everything seemed so difficult to me. Words would slip away the moment I tried to say them. I still remember the day I decided to speak English for the first time in front of my friend. My friend spoke English fluently and always encouraged me to learn. At first, I would always smile and say, yes, I'll try. But deep down, I was very hesitant. How could I speak to someone in a language that wasn't my own? What if I made a mistake? What if they laughed at me? These questions kept spinning in my head, stopping me from even trying. Then came the day I decided to face my fear and speak, even if I made mistakes. I was sitting with my friend at a cafe, the atmosphere calm and filled with soft sounds. I looked at him, took a deep breath, and said, hello. How you? I said it quickly, like I was throwing a bomb into the air. Suddenly, my friend stopped talking and looked at me with wide eyes. I felt like I had made a terrible mistake, and I had a strange sinking feeling in my stomach, as if I had done something horribly wrong. But luckily, my friend smiled and said, how are you? In that moment, I felt like the ground had swallowed me up. I was sure I had said something wrong, but his response was like a light shining through the darkness. He smiled, his face full of respect and encouragement, and said, you're doing great. Just keep trying. Those words were like a beacon of hope in a dark tunnel. After that moment, I began to learn something very important. Mistakes are not the end of the world, they are part of the learning process. At first, I thought mistakes were failures, but I discovered that every mistake was a step toward improvement. My friend gave me more support with each attempt. When I made a mistake, he didn't laugh at me, he encouraged me to keep going. The more I tried, the easier it became. Those simple words, "You're doing great, just keep going," broke the fear barrier inside my heart. I realized that fear was just an idea in my mind, something I had created myself. When I started to face it, I found that it was nothing more than an illusion. Speaking English wasn't as hard as I had imagined. The mistakes I had feared were actually part of my journey. Every time I made a mistake, I learned something new. Every time I tried, I became more confident. Over time, I began to notice significant improvement. It became easier for me to say more complex sentences and to speak with greater confidence. What started as a small step towards speaking became a part of my daily life. The more I spoke, the more I realized that speaking English wasn't scary at all. In fact, it was fun. The more I embraced the mistakes and laughed at them, the better I became. In the end, it wasn't just about speaking. Speaking English became a part of my life. It became a tool to connect with others and to understand the world on a deeper level. I learned that speaking isn't just about pronouncing words, it's a bridge that connects me to a whole new world. The lesson I learned. At first, fear was the biggest obstacle. But when I decided to face it, I discovered there was nothing to be afraid of. Mistakes are part of the journey, and every mistake teaches you something new. Speaking isn't as scary as I thought. It's an enjoyable experience full of challenges. So, if you're afraid to speak, remember, nothing is impossible. The more you try, the better you'll become. TV shows and movies as teachers. It was hard to believe when my friend said, "Watch the show Friends to learn English. It's so much fun and will help you." At first, I was very hesitant. How could I learn English from a comedy show? I was afraid I wouldn't understand a single thing. But I decided to give it a chance. At first, the experience felt strange, like listening to a collection of incomprehensible sounds. I could only pick up a few words, such as "Hi," "Okay," "Thank you." But I was determined to make the most of this experience, even if it seemed difficult. How did I start learning from Friends? Step 1. Watching episodes with subtitles in my native language. At the beginning, I watched the episodes with subtitles in my native language. This helped me understand the overall story. I focused on listening to new words and connecting them with their meanings in the subtitles. For example, when Joey said his famous line, "How you doin'?" I noticed how he pronounced the words and tried to imitate him. Step 2. Watching episodes with English subtitles. After several episodes, I started watching with English subtitles. This step was a bit harder, but I wrote down the sentences I heard and tried reading them out loud. For instance, "We were on a break." This iconic line became one of my favorites. I repeated it several times until I mastered its pronunciation. Step 3. Rewatching episodes without subtitles. Once I felt that I could understand some words and sentences, I decided to watch episodes without any subtitles. I relied on the vocabulary I had learned earlier to follow the dialogues. At first, it was very challenging, but over time, I started to understand the scenes better. What did I learn from Friends? 1. Daily vocabulary. Friends is filled with words and phrases used in everyday life, such as, "Let's grab a coffee." "I can't believe it." "It's not that big of a deal." 2. Cultural expressions. I learned that English is not just about words, it's also a way to express feelings and culture. For instance, Chandler's sarcastic humor helped me understand English humor and cultural nuances. 3. Pronunciation and fluency. I noticed how the actors pronounced words quickly and linked them together. For example, instead of saying, "What do you want?" they would say it fast, like, "What do you want?" 4. Confidence in speaking. After watching several episodes, I felt I could imitate some of the phrases and sentences. I practiced them in front of the mirror or used them in simple conversations with my friends. How did my experience evolve over time? Over time, I noticed significant improvement. I started to understand more without needing subtitles. TV shows became not just a tool for learning English, but also an enjoyable way to build confidence and make rapid progress. The more I watched, the more I could naturally grasp words and sentences. Speaking English became smoother and easier. What did I learn from this experience? I learned that English isn't just about textbooks. It can be learned in fun and engaging ways through things you love. TV shows like Friends weren't just a learning tool, they were a daily adventure that added a lot of joy to the process. The lesson I learned. Learning doesn't stop at books or lessons. You can find enjoyable ways to incorporate English into your daily life. Friends taught me that when you enjoy what you're doing, learning becomes easier and more effective. Through watching TV shows, I learned vocabulary, expressions, and pronunciation naturally, all while having fun. So why not give it a try? You might find that learning becomes more exciting when you combine it with things you love. Songs as a learning tool. My journey with Adele's songs. Songs were one of the most enjoyable and effective tools in my journey to learn English. I've always loved music, but I never imagined I could use it to improve my language skills. One night, while listening to Adele's famous song "Someone Like You," I felt a strong desire to understand the lyrics, not just to enjoy the beautiful melody but to learn something new. How did I start learning from Adele's songs? 1. First listen and picking up words. When I first heard "Someone Like You," I focused on the words I could recognize. For example, "Never mind, I'll find someone like you." I understood the phrase "someone like you," while the rest of the lyrics were still unclear. 2. Writing down the lyrics by hand. I decided to search for the lyrics and write them down in a special notebook. While writing, I translated the unfamiliar words and added notes next to them. For example, regrets means sorrow. Bittersweet means both sweet and sad. 3. Singing and repetition. After understanding the lyrics, I started singing along with Adele. I focused on imitating her pronunciation and expressions. Her song Rolling in the Deep was a big challenge because of its fast pace, but with repetition, I noticed gradual improvement. What did I learn from Adele's songs? 1. New vocabulary. Adele's songs were rich with emotional words and expressions. For example, we could have had it all. Tears are gonna fall. You'll never have my heart. 2. Practicing pronunciation and rhythm. Adele's songs helped me improve my pronunciation. The relatively slow pace of some of her songs made it easier to follow the lyrics. For example, in her song Hello, I focused on the phrase, "Hello, can you hear me?" I repeated it until I could say it naturally. 3. Enhancing listening skills. Whenever I listened to a new song, I concentrated on the small words that might go unnoticed, such as and, but, so. These small words often hold the key to understanding complete sentences. 4. Building confidence. When I sang alone, I felt completely free without fear of making mistakes. This gave me the space to learn without pressure and boosted my confidence when speaking. Funny moments with songs. One day, I decided to sing an Adele song out loud in front of my friend. Full of excitement, I started singing, "Never mind, I'll find someone like you." But instead of saying "someone like you," I said, "someone like food." My friend couldn't stop laughing, and I started laughing too. It was a funny moment, but it motivated me to focus more on improving my pronunciation to avoid such mistakes. My tips for beginners using songs to learn. 1. Choose a singer whose voice and style you enjoy, like Adele. 2. Listen to the song multiple times, even if you don't understand all the words at first. 3. Write down the lyrics by hand, as this helps with memorization. 4. Sing along with the singer and focus on proper pronunciation. 5. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Repetition will make things easier over time. Using songs as a learning tool was incredibly helpful because it combined fun with education. Songs not only improved my pronunciation, listening, and vocabulary, but also gave me a way to express my feelings. The beauty of this method is that it doesn't have to be boring or difficult. It can be unexpectedly enjoyable. The basics of English grammar. After starting to learn simple words and sentences, I realized there was something else I needed to master to build correct and clear sentences. Yes, it was grammar. But don't worry, learning grammar isn't as complicated as it seems. In fact, it's the foundation for constructing strong sentences, and the good news is that English grammar is not as extensive compared to other languages. How did I begin understanding basic grammar? At first, I thought grammar was like complex math equations with no end in sight. I would tell myself, how am I going to learn all these tenses and verbs? But over time, I started to see grammar as learning a new game. Sure, there were some rules I needed to remember, but there was a fun way to approach it. Step 1. Verbs. In any language, verbs are the heart of a sentence. Simply put, verbs describe what a person does. For example, I eat. She runs. At first, I found it challenging to remember all the verbs I needed to use, especially when I discovered that verbs in English change depending on the subject. For example, I go, I go. He goes, he goes. But over time, I noticed that verbs fall into small, easy-to-understand groups. Regular verbs like eat, run, speak can be easily adjusted by adding an s or ed in different situations. Step 2. Tenses. Tenses in English tell us when an action happens, past, present, or future. It might seem overwhelming at first, but it's simpler than you think. Initially, I learned that the past tense is used for something that has already happened, like, I played football yesterday. The present tense is used for something happening now or regularly, like, I eat breakfast every morning. The future tense is used for something that will happen later, like, I will go to the park tomorrow. Step 3. Simple sentences. Once I understood verbs and tenses, it became easier to form simple sentences. I didn't need to make complex sentences. Simple ones were enough, such as, I am happy. She is studying. They will visit tomorrow. In the beginning, I started with short, easy sentences so I wouldn't feel overwhelmed. It was also very helpful to learn how to use helping verbs like am, is, are, was, were, because they helped me create correct sentences. Step 4. Mistakes are part of the process. Let's be honest, I made many mistakes while learning grammar. I remember once saying to my friend, he go to the park, instead of he goes to the park. It wasn't easy, but I learned that making mistakes was okay. Whenever I made a mistake, I reminded myself that I was learning and improving. Over time, I became more confident in forming correct sentences and noticed I was speaking more fluently. My advice for learning grammar. 1. Don't rush. Learn grammar step by step. Don't try to memorize everything at once. 2. Use grammar in daily life. Try to apply what you've learned in simple conversations with your friends or family. 3. Mistakes are not barriers, they're part of the journey. Don't be afraid of making mistakes, instead, learn from them. 4. Repetition is the key to success. The more you repeat grammar rules and sentences, the more natural they will feel. I discovered that learning grammar wasn't just about memorizing or recalling, but rather an enjoyable process that builds a solid foundation for expressing my thoughts easily. In the end, you'll find yourself speaking confidently and effortlessly, without worrying about small mistakes. Final thought. If you find grammar challenging, always remember that learning a language is like building a house. If you start with the basics and stay optimistic, every step will bring you closer to achieving your goal. Learning daily vocabulary. At the beginning of my journey with the English language, grammar and tenses seemed a bit confusing. But I discovered something amazing: learning daily vocabulary. It's the key to understanding everyday life and communicating easily with others. Instead of memorizing complicated words or long sentences, I decided to start with the words I use in my daily life. This is the secret to learning a language faster and more simply. How did I start learning daily vocabulary? 1. Vocabulary related to places. I began by learning words related to the places I go to every day. This was extremely helpful because I needed these words in my daily life. For example, I learned basic words for places like home, school, supermarket, park. Whenever I learned these words, I used them naturally in my daily conversations. For example, when I went to the supermarket, I told myself, I am going to the supermarket. 2. Vocabulary related to food. One of my favorite areas to learn was food. Food is something we deal with every day, so learning vocabulary related to it was essential. I started by learning the names of foods I regularly eat, such as apple, bread, chicken, rice. Then, I learned useful sentences about food, such as, I want a sandwich. Do you have any juice? Over time, I began to learn more words related to international dishes I had heard of but didn't know how to name in English, like pasta, pizza, sushi. 3. Vocabulary related to emotions. One of the most important types of vocabulary I learned was words that expressed my feelings and emotions. Being able to share your emotions helps you connect with others more deeply. For example, I learned words like happy, sad, excited, angry. Then I started building sentences about these emotions. I am happy today. She is sad. He is excited about the trip. 4. Using words in simple sentences. I quickly realized that learning words alone wasn't enough. I needed to learn how to use these words in simple sentences. The more I used a word in context, the easier it became to remember it. For example, I learned the word work and began using it in different ways. I go to work every day. She works in a hospital. 5. Learning from my surroundings. One of the best ways to learn daily vocabulary is by paying attention to your surroundings. For example, the first time I went to a coffee shop, I noticed how people talked about their favorite drinks, like coffee, tea, cappuccino. I decided to use these words in my conversations with friends, and I became more comfortable expressing what I wanted. My tips for learning daily vocabulary. 1. Start with the basics. Learn the words you use daily in your life, like the names of places, food, and emotions. 2. Use vocabulary in sentences. Try to use the words you've learned in simple sentences. This will help you fix the words in your memory. 3. Find words in your environment. When you see something new or hear a new word, try to learn it and use it in your daily conversations. 4. Review regularly. If you learn a new word today, try using it tomorrow. Repetition is the key to success. Final thoughts. Learning daily vocabulary is not just a way to learn a language, it's a way to make your everyday life more exciting. The more new words you learn, the more confident you'll feel speaking. And who knows? One day, you might find yourself speaking fluently as if you grew up in an English-speaking country. Improving listening skills. One of the most important skills to learn when studying English is listening. Language is not just words written down, it's also sounds that we need to learn how to understand. In the beginning, I faced great difficulty understanding what others were saying. The words would mix up in my head, like pieces of a puzzle. But over time, I learned amazing strategies to improve my listening skills. In this chapter, I'll share my experience with improving listening skills and how you can easily apply these strategies. How did I start improving my listening skills? 1. Listening to simple audio clips. In the beginning, I listened to simple audio clips with short sentences and basic words. The goal was to get used to the sounds of the language and how words are pronounced. I started using online audio clips designed for beginners. These clips consisted of simple conversations between two people, like, "Hi, how are you?" "I am good, thank you." I would listen to these clips over and over, trying to catch every word. At first, I didn't understand much, but with repetition, the words started to become clearer to my ears. 2. Listening to podcasts. Then, I discovered something great: podcasts. It was like a new adventure. I started listening to podcasts designed for beginner English learners. These podcasts were fun and easy conversations, full of words I could use in everyday life. For example, one podcast was titled English in Everyday Life, and the episodes discussed simple topics like, "What do you do in your free time? How do you go to work?" By listening to these podcasts, I began to learn how to use words in real sentences. Thanks to these short, direct conversations, listening became clearer. 3. Listening with subtitles. In the beginning, the idea of listening without understanding every word was difficult for me, so I used subtitles. I listened to audio clips or podcasts with English subtitles. Whenever I heard a new word or phrase, I would look it up in the subtitles to check its meaning. This helped me connect the sound to the meaning. For example, when I heard the sentence, "I love to read books," I read the subtitle and found that it meant, 4. Listening to more challenging audio. Once my listening skills improved with simple clips, I decided to challenge myself by listening to more complex content. I started listening to conversations between native speakers, such as clips from movies or educational content aimed at intermediate levels. These clips were faster and contained many new vocabulary words, but they were a great opportunity to develop my skill. Strategies to improve listening skills. 1. Listen daily. Make listening a part of your daily routine. Even if you don't understand everything at first, regular listening will gradually improve your skills. 2. Listen with subtitles, then without. At first, you can listen with English subtitles. When you feel more comfortable, try listening without subtitles. This will help you increase your understanding of the language naturally. 3. Review unfamiliar words. When you listen to something new and don't understand a word, replay it several times. Try to guess the meaning from the context or look it up in a dictionary. You'll find that you understand more over time. 4. Engage with the audio. Don't just listen passively. Try repeating the sentences or words you hear. Use them in your daily conversations until they feel natural. 5. Listen to a variety of sources. Don't limit yourself to one type of audio. Listen to podcasts, movie clips, music, or lectures. This variety will help you hear different accents. One time, I was listening to a podcast about favorite foods, and when I heard the sentence, "I love pizza," I misunderstood it and thought it said, "I love Pepsi." I laughed at myself and told my friends about the mistake. But these errors made me more careful when listening next time. My tips for improving listening skills. 1. Start with things you love. If you enjoy movies, listen to clips from the films you like. If you love music, listen to songs and try to understand the lyrics. 2. Listen consistently. Set aside time every day to listen to audio clips or podcasts. 3. Don't fear mistakes. Mistakes are part of the learning process. The more you make, the more you'll learn. Final thoughts. Listening is the key to truly understanding a language. Listen regularly and be patient with yourself. Over time, you'll notice that you begin to understand more and speak with greater confidence. Reading as an effective tool. Reading is one of the most wonderful tools you can use to learn English. It not only helps improve comprehension, but also gives you a chance to rapidly increase your vocabulary. At first, reading seemed difficult to me, especially with so many words I didn't understand. However, over time, I realized that reading is like an adventure that can take you to a whole new world of words and meanings. In this chapter, I'll share how reading can be an effective tool to improve your English skills. How did I start using reading to learn the language? 1. Choosing the right reading materials. At first, I was hesitant to read books or articles that were too complex because they contained difficult words. But after a while, I realized that choosing the right reading materials could make a huge difference in learning the language. I decided to start by reading simple short stories designed for beginners. These stories contained short sentences and familiar words, making the reading process easier and more enjoyable. 2. Reading with a dictionary. At the beginning of my journey, I needed to use the dictionary a lot. Every time I encountered a new word, I would look it up and write its meaning in my notebook. This method helped me build a personal vocabulary of new words I had learned. For example, when I read a sentence like, "She loves reading books," I didn't understand the word loves, so I looked it up in the dictionary and found that it meant. After that, I started using this word in my own sentences. 3. Reading aloud. When I read certain sentences or paragraphs, I would read them aloud. This not only helped me improve my pronunciation of words, but also made the experience more enjoyable. When I heard the words as I read them, I became more capable of linking the sound to the written word. 4. Reading with focus, not speed. At first, I had the desire to finish a book as quickly as possible. But I discovered that reading quickly might lead to losing comprehension. Instead, I learned to focus on the sentences and phrases slowly, so I could understand each word clearly. I would read certain paragraphs several times if I didn't understand them the first time. The importance of reading in language learning. 1. Increasing vocabulary. Reading gives you the chance to encounter new words and use them in different contexts. Over time, I started recognizing more complex vocabulary and was able to use it in my daily conversations. For example, when I read passages like, "She went to the store to buy some fruit," I learned new words like store and fruit, which became part of my vocabulary. 2. Improving general comprehension. When I read stories or passages, I learned how to better understand the texts. Comprehension doesn't stop at knowing the meaning of a word, it extends to understanding the overall message of the sentence or paragraph. Thanks to consistent reading, I started to understand texts more smoothly. 3. Learning grammar naturally. When reading books or articles in English, I learned grammar indirectly. For example, while reading sentences like, "He is going to the park," I started to understand how to structure simple sentences correctly without having to memorize the rules. 4. Improving reading speed and comprehension. Over time, I became a faster reader and understood texts more easily. Continuous reading helped me improve my speed and comprehension without missing details. How to choose the right books and articles. 1. Start with simple books. If you are a beginner, it's best to start with books specifically designed for beginners. There are many books with simple language aimed at new learners. These books have short sentences, familiar words, and interesting stories. 2. Use simple articles. If you don't prefer books, you can read simple articles online. Many websites offer educational articles with simple words suitable for beginners. You can also use apps like BBC Learning English or Voice of America, where they provide written audio clips with simple arrangements. 3. Choose topics that interest you. It's better to choose topics that interest you when reading. If you like sports, read articles about football or your favorite games. If you love food, read recipes or passages about cuisine. This will help you enjoy reading and increase your passion for learning. 4. Don't be afraid of a challenge. When you feel ready for a challenge, try reading slightly bigger books or passages. They might contain new words and more complex grammar, but with continued reading, you'll be able to understand them. My tips for improving reading skills. 1. Read regularly. Set aside time each day for reading. Even if it's just for a short period, continuous reading helps you progress quickly. 2. Write new words. Don't forget to write down words you don't know, look up their meanings, and try using them in sentences. 3. Reread. Reread texts or stories you like. This helps you improve vocabulary and comprehension faster. 4. Don't worry if you don't understand everything. Reading isn't about understanding every word, it's about understanding the overall meaning. If you don't understand a word, try to guess its meaning from the context. Fun moments while reading. I remember one time, when I was reading a short story, I came across a new word that I didn't understand, elephant. I imagined it could be some strange animal, and I asked my friends about its meaning. They laughed and asked, "Does it mean electron?" It was a funny moment, but I learned the word, and it became part of my vocabulary after that. Final thoughts. Reading is a fantastic tool for improving language skills. Start with simple stories, and then gradually move on to more challenging passages. The more you read, the faster you'll learn. Enjoy learning the language through reading, and don't forget to keep progressing day by day. Writing to improve language. Writing is one of the most effective skills that can help you learn English. Although many people focus on listening and speaking, writing provides a great opportunity to organize your thoughts and apply what you have learned from grammar and vocabulary in a practical way. In this chapter, I'll share how I started using writing to improve my English and how writing can help you enhance your skills overall. How I started writing to improve language. 1. Starting with simple sentences. In the beginning, I wasn't able to write long paragraphs, so I started with simple sentences. For example, asterisk, I like apples. Asterisk, she is my friend. These simple sentences were a great way to practice arranging words correctly in sentences. Even though the sentences were short, they gave me the confidence that I could build new sentences. At first, it seemed difficult, but over time, it became easier. 2. Writing daily journals. I started writing my journal in English. It seemed strange at first because I wasn't sure how to express my thoughts accurately. However, daily writing helped me improve my skills quickly. I would write about my day. Asterisk, today, I went to the store and bought some food. Asterisk, I met my friend and we talked about our plans for the weekend. I focused on using the words I learned in daily conversations. Even if I made mistakes, writing was an opportunity to review grammar and improve pronunciation. 3. Writing short paragraphs. After I became more comfortable with simple sentences, I started writing short paragraphs. I would write about simple topics like asterisk, my favorite hobby. Asterisk, what I did last weekend. The goal of these writings was to try to include as many vocabulary words as I had learned. Writing helped me think in English and connect words more smoothly. The importance of daily writing. 1. Strengthening memory. Daily writing helps you remember words and grammar better. The more you write, the more the new words become part of your memory. If you write a word or sentence several times, it will stick in your mind how these words are used in different contexts. Writing makes the language more vivid in your mind. 2. Improving grammar. Writing gives you the chance to apply the grammar you've learned. I noticed a lot of mistakes at first, such as errors in word order or using verbs incorrectly. However, daily writing helped me learn from my mistakes. Over time, I began using grammar correctly and without thinking. 3. Expanding vocabulary. When you write about different topics, you start using new words. The more diverse your writing, the easier it becomes to expand your vocabulary. For example, in one writing, I wanted to talk about how I felt on a bright morning, so I used words like happy, bright, excited, and others. This helped me learn how to use new vocabulary in the right context. 4. Building confidence in expression. The more I wrote, the more confident I became in expressing my thoughts in English. Writing was a great way to practice ideas and organize them logically. At first, it was difficult to write long texts, but with every exercise, I felt noticeable improvement in my ability to express myself in English. How writing develops. 1. Start with simple sentences. In the beginning, don't feel pressured to write complex paragraphs. Start with simple sentences, and then try to build longer sentences over time. For example, asterisk, I eat breakfast every morning. Asterisk, my favorite color is blue. As you progress, you can combine 2 or 3 sentences together to form a more complex one. 2. Write about your daily experiences. A great way to improve writing is by recording what happens in your day. This doesn't mean writing novels, but simply describing everyday things directly. Write about the activities you did or the people you met. This is a great way to practice writing without feeling bored. 3. Use a dictionary for help. When you're unsure about a word, don't hesitate to look it up. Using a dictionary can be very helpful, especially during the language learning stage. Even if you don't know the exact translation of a word, you can try to guess its meaning from context. You'll notice that the more you write, the less dependent you'll be on the dictionary. 4. Rewrite and edit your texts. When you write, don't expect your writing to be perfect the first time. After you write, read your text again and look for mistakes. Try to improve the sentences and make them more accurate. This revision helps you learn from your mistakes. Tips for improving writing skills. 1. Be consistent. Daily writing is the key to improving your skills. Try to set aside time every day for writing, even if it's only for a few minutes. 2. Read a lot. Reading helps improve writing. Read books, articles, or even online comments. This will help you come up with ideas for writing better passages. 3. Write without fear of mistakes. Don't worry if you make mistakes. Writing is a learning process, and the more you write, the better you'll get. 4. Ask for help. If you have someone who can help correct your writing, take advantage of that. Correction helps you improve your skills quickly. I remember when I wrote a sentence in English and I was sure I wrote it correctly, but after reading it again, I discovered that I had made a mistake in word order. I wrote, I always eating pizza. But after correction, the correct sentence became, I always eat pizza. I laughed at myself a lot, but it was a great opportunity to improve my skills. Writing is a powerful tool for learning English. With daily practice, you can quickly improve your writing skills. Whether you start by writing simple sentences or longer paragraphs, the important thing is to keep going. Don't forget that every word you write brings you one step closer to improving your language. Reaching an advanced level in language. When you start learning English, transitioning from a beginner to an advanced level seems like a long journey. However, in reality, when you get closer to the advanced level, you'll find immense enjoyment in using the language more freely and fluently. In this chapter, I will talk about the challenges you might face when moving to an advanced level and how to develop your skills to speak fluently as if it's your native language. Challenges in transitioning to an advanced level. 1. Speaking naturally. After learning the basics, the language starts to become part of your daily life. But the biggest challenge learners face at this level is speaking naturally and smoothly, without needing to think about every word. Often, you may find yourself starting a sentence and then pausing because you don't know the correct word, or realizing you need to improve your pronunciation. At first, this may feel frustrating, but over time, you'll realize that these difficulties are part of the learning process. 2. Handling complex vocabulary. At the advanced level, the language goes beyond basic words, and you begin learning more complex terms and specialized vocabulary related to specific topics. These words may be difficult at first, but the key is to dedicate time to learning new words every day. For example, you can choose a specific topic, like technology or health, and start learning the vocabulary related to it. This will expand your vocabulary and make your conversations richer and more diverse. 3. Complex sentence structures. At the advanced level, you'll start dealing with complex sentence structures, such as advanced tenses, conditional sentences, and words with multiple meanings. For example, if I had known about the event, I would have gone. By the time you arrive, I will have finished my work. Mastering these structures may be difficult at first, but with practice and focusing on grammar, you'll be able to use them naturally in your conversations. How to develop fluency and speak naturally. 1. Daily practice. There is no substitute for daily practice. If you want to reach an advanced level, you must practice the language every day. Try speaking with friends or colleagues who speak English, or even use apps to converse with native speakers. Continuous speaking will make you more confident and improve your fluency. 2. Listening and repeating. At the advanced level, the learning process doesn't only involve reading books or learning grammar. Listen to real conversations, like radio programs, movies, or audio clips in English. Choose clips from your favorite programs or movies and listen to them carefully, then try to imitate how the speakers talk. Practicing correct pronunciation and intonation will be very helpful in speaking naturally. 3. Engaging in natural conversations. Look for opportunities to speak in English in everyday situations. For example, if you're at a restaurant, try speaking with the waiter in English, or if you're traveling, use English to communicate with people at the destination. These daily conversations, even if simple, will significantly help improve your fluency. 4. Diverse reading. At the advanced level, you should read on a variety of topics, from literature to global news. Read articles and books with complex vocabulary and sentence structures. This will enhance your ability to understand and use the language in various contexts. Try reading texts that are slightly complex for you, and then review the new words you've learned. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself. 5. Engage with English culture. Language is closely linked to culture. At the advanced level, you can dive deeper into the culture of English-speaking countries. For instance, read about the history of the United States or the UK, or listen to the stories and expressions used in these countries. Learning about these topics will help you understand cultural and verbal expressions better, enhancing your language skills. Speaking naturally over time. As mentioned earlier, one of the biggest challenges at the advanced level is speaking naturally. You might be good at grammar and vocabulary, but sometimes your speech may not sound natural enough. With continuous practice, you'll notice that you start speaking faster, and you use words and sentences more smoothly. You'll find that you need to think less about words and can express your thoughts more easily. You might experience moments of frustration when you can't find the right word or get stuck in a complex sentence. But remember, these moments are part of the learning process. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become in speaking. Tips for reaching an advanced level. 1. Keep challenging yourself. Don't keep yourself in the comfort zone. Learn new words, listen to difficult topics, and try writing complex texts. 2. Set realistic goals. Setting short-term goals, such as mastering a specific sentence structure or learning a set of vocabulary words, will help you measure your progress. 3. Be patient. Reaching an advanced level doesn't happen overnight. Keep learning and practicing, and you'll gradually see improvement. Summary of the chapter. Transitioning to an advanced level in English requires time and consistent effort. With the challenges you may face, you'll be able to develop your fluency and proficiency by daily practice and listening to natural conversations. Remember, learning is a continuous journey, and every step you take brings you closer to speaking English fluently and confidently. Continuing to learn and develop skills. When you reach an advanced level in English, you may feel that you've achieved what you set out to do. However, the truth is that the learning journey doesn't stop here. Language continues to evolve, and so should you. In this chapter, we'll talk about how to keep learning and developing your skills, how to maintain your passion for the language, and make it a part of your daily life. We'll also discuss how to share your knowledge with others to reinforce what you've learned. The importance of continuing to learn. Even if you have mastered the language well, continuing to learn is essential. Language, like any other skill, requires constant practice to stay alive in your mind. If you stop learning for an extended period, you'll find that your vocabulary starts to shrink and your ability to understand complex texts or fast-paced conversations may decline. Therefore, you should make continuous learning a part of your daily routine. How to keep learning continuously. 1. Daily practice. Continue speaking English every day. Even if it's just for a few minutes, try to find time daily to speak, write, or even think in English. For example, you can start your day by reading the news in English or writing a list of things you want to accomplish that day. The key is to make the language a part of your daily life. 2. Continuous challenge. Don't settle for traditional learning. Always challenge yourself by learning new vocabulary, listening to more complex conversations, or reading more difficult books. Challenging yourself will keep you motivated and help you continuously improve your skills. For instance, try reading a scientific article or listening to a lecture in English about a topic you're not familiar with. This will broaden your horizons and expand your vocabulary. 3. Use the language in daily life. Don't limit your use of English to specific situations. Use it naturally in your everyday life. If you're at the supermarket, try naming things in English. If you're walking down the street, think about how you can describe what you see in English. This will make you more comfortable with the language and help you use it spontaneously and naturally. 4. Learn from mistakes. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes are a natural part of learning, and every error is an opportunity for improvement. If you mispronounce a word, try repeating it until you master it. If you make a mistake in sentence structure, learn from it and repeat the sentence correctly. The key is to be willing to learn from your mistakes without feeling discouraged. How to share your knowledge with others. Sharing what you've learned with others is one of the best ways to reinforce what you've learned and motivate yourself to keep learning. When you explain something to someone else, you gain a deeper understanding of the topic. Here are some ways you can share your knowledge. 1. Teach others. If you've learned some things in English, try teaching someone else. You can explain new vocabulary, grammar rules, or even how to form simple sentences. You may find that teaching others helps you organize your thoughts and improve your understanding of the language. 2. Share knowledge online. You can have a blog or social media channel where you share your language learning experience. You can post tips for beginners, give examples of language structures, or even record videos where you speak in English. Sharing your knowledge with others will make you more committed to learning, and you'll receive feedback and motivation from your followers. 3. Join language learning communities. You can join online or in-person groups where people discuss learning English. These communities are great places to exchange tips, ask questions, and seek help. You can also share your personal language learning stories and learn from others. 4. Practice conversations with other learners. Look for language learning partners and talk to them regularly. You can find others who are learning English at the same level as you or higher, which gives you the chance to learn from them and share what you've learned with them. Continuing personal development. Continuous learning isn't just about language. As you develop your English skills, you'll also notice that you're growing as a person. You become more open to new cultures and improve your critical thinking and problem-solving abilities. Your confidence will increase, and you'll feel a sense of accomplishment as you see how your ability to communicate in a new language evolves. Tips for continuing to learn. 1. Set short and long-term goals. Set clear goals for what you want to achieve in learning English, whether it's improving your listening skills, mastering a specific grammatical structure, or even learning new vocabulary every week. 2. Make learning fun. Learning the language should be enjoyable, so don't make it a boring task. Try fun activities such as watching movies, listening to music, or playing language games to make the learning process more interactive. 3. Be patient. Language takes time. Even if you feel that progress is slow at times, remember that every step brings you closer to your ultimate goal. Continuing to learn is the key to maintaining mastery of English. Through daily practice, continuous challenges, and using the language in everyday life, you can constantly improve your skills. Sharing your knowledge with others will enhance your learning and motivate you to keep going. In the end, remember that learning is an ongoing journey, and every step you take brings you closer to your goal of achieving full fluency in the language. A journey that never ends. When you reach a point where you feel you've mastered the English language, remember that this is not the end. It's a new beginning, the start of another adventure. Just as a child begins with the first words and then learns sentences, you now have a deeper and broader understanding. You have the tools needed to learn even more and the ability to communicate with the world with greater confidence. But what comes next? Learning never stops. There is always more to discover, new vocabulary to learn, and sounds you've never heard before in movies, songs, or everyday conversations. There are always new challenges waiting for you, just like any journey. So, when you feel exhausted or uncertain, remember the first step you took. Remember how you started from scratch, how the alphabet was a challenge, and how pronunciation seemed like an unsolvable puzzle. Recall how you laughed at yourself when you made mistakes and how you said to yourself, "Next time, I'll do better." And now, here you are, having come a long way. Perhaps you don't master everything yet, maybe you still have some questions, but you've achieved something priceless, the courage to continue learning and growing. Learning English has opened new doors for you, not only to continue your education, but also to achieve your personal and professional goals. Always remember, learning a language is not just about letters and words. It's about creating a new connection between you and the world, and between you and people from different cultures. Every new word you learn, every conversation you have, adds more understanding and knowledge to your mind. And no matter how long or difficult the journey may seem, remember that nothing is impossible if you stay consistent, if you love what you're doing. You won't just learn English, you'll learn about yourself, your ability to challenge yourself, and your determination. In the end, the journey of learning a language is not just a path toward mastering something new. It's about discovering yourself, overcoming the limits you set for yourself, and the change that happens within you every day as you make small progress. So, let's say it now, your journey has not ended, it has only just begun. The future awaits you, and now you have all the tools you need to travel on this new adventure. All you need to do is continue learning, trying, and moving forward. You are no longer just a language learner, you are an adventurer in a vast world full of opportunities.